Hello and welcome back to Good Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name's Preston. I'm here with Sam. Say hello.
Hello, it's a lot of fun here in the West. This is definitely going to be a fun one to talk about.
Yeah, Gen Con brought us several large tournaments, and when you have enough of these back to back, you're going to get some really interesting results. And this week we have to talk about probably the most exciting winner, as well as a really interesting high placed leader that has had a lot of attention in the West since the beginning, but
hmm
I don't think we cover it very often. So it'll be nice to jump into that at the end here.
Yeah. So Doffy won a regional.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's done well early set one. I don't remember him doing well in set two, but yeah,
A lot of players really love Doffy. I think he's very reminiscent of a lot of other card games that we love here in the West. A lot of familiar style here. Definitely large numbers. I don't think there's a lot of wins here. Not that I can remember, and he is virtually non-existent in the East, at least from what we have seen.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but when we look at this list, shout out Orange Samurai. Very helpful tournament follower. Posts all the new cards. Go give him a little love. Where he's down in the description, of course. But we built the deck in dev, and there's not a lot of newer cards here. This is a lot of set one starter deck with maybe 4 cards. I think it's like 8 total, 9 total.
Very
Newer
few.
cards. So, what's different here?
I think it is a little bit to do with uh, the limit list. Losing some stuff in red gives you the ability to play this way. And I mean, these cards have always been good.
hmm
Dofi has had its showing. It's just doing a lot more right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's just finding its flow or if just this control style is good into some uncertainty or into I don't know, Whitebeard or whatever. So
Yeah, it might be a little tough to ping. So if we look at everything past set one, we have a new promo Jinbei here. That's a warlord as well. On KO lower bottom deck of 3 or less. This really nice 4 drop Moria that you can pull with a Dofi leader. That's amazing. And then a couple event cards. 3,000 Worlds is definitely one of the highlights of set three for blue, and then one Gum Gum Rain. There's nothing crazy here that's making this deck just out of this world. These are just really good tech cards. So it's definitely we're gonna have to look at the meta here. There definitely is a little bit of a shift here. Something that we can pinpoint in red that we were able to maybe win consistently, because that was a large tournament. There was almost 500 players in a live setting. That's very taxing. This is a very think heavy, remember your top three always type of deck. So it's very taxing. So we either have A, found a leak, or B, this is an excellent master of the Doflamingo leader.
yeah, and it's some I'm like looking at the card counts and the power and everything, and it's a pretty power heavy deck too. Like a lot of 5Ks that have great options into leader or into character cards. Uh, they found all of their vanilla 4 cost 6K
Mm-hmm.
characters, and then you end with just shoving Mihawk down their face repeatedly. Um, but it's like a very draw heavy deck. It's a like the leader effect is going to give you a lot of playability.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. It's just an interesting pool to see at such a large tournament too. It's
Yeah.
really cool because you know they had to have seen a couple Whitebeards,
Yeah.
um, Zoros, Katakuris, like these big decks that are doing really well and overshadowing a lot of stuff. They might have even seen some Kuros, which is a scary deck that popped up in the last big one in Core's big tournament. So it's really interesting to play this control style, and it's a lot of removal and
Mm-hmm.
not KOing, which gets around like annoying characters from like black that has that, and there's a few characters in every color I think that might be can't be KO'd, and this deck doesn't care. I'm just gonna remove them from the field, send them to the bottom of your deck if I have to. Um, Pretty messed up. Pretty
Yeah,
messed up stuff.
I fully. And I think the reason Doffy was so hindered in set two and in set three, or at least set three without the ban list,
Mhm.
would have been Zoro. I think when I played this against set two Zoro, this was it was very frustrating. They're very fast, very powerful, very quick. So maybe there's still a little bit of loss to speed and consistency. Opens the door for these very unique, maybe a little bit unexpected. I don't know if anyone in the West is shocked by this. I know as someone that played a lot of Dofi, I'm not too shocked by this. I know this deck can definitely do it. It's just very, very hard. It's very impressive. This Kuro, it's giving hope for these other colors that are really trying to find just a little bit of wiggle room in this very red dominant meta. So it's very exciting. It's very nice to cover a very familiar deck. Yeah, I'm hope we see more Dofis. Hope we see more Kuros and things like that.
And it's a very tight list in comparison to what we have been seeing with Red, which is like Red's like I'm gonna play like one of everything. I don't care. This deck's like I'm gonna play my favorite 17 or so cards and just do what Dofi does and find those warlords and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Oh
Pretty cool.
boy, if you didn't see the next list already, you are going to be shocked. Also, that did very well. There was a second place Luffy that did very well against this specific deck, the Dofi deck. We weren't able. I don't think we were able to find it, but we did get a top four red Luffy as well that we wanted to cover because red is doing very well in all leaders, every single one of them. So we wanted to feature it again. Shout out Orange Samurai, always covering the big tournament stuff. And we built his deck over in depth. I'm gonna have to zoom out because there's so many freaking cards. And
Yeah,
Luffy,
yeah, it's a complete opposite of what we just looked at with the Dofi deck.
yeah, and I'm not sure when these videos are in, but we did a Zoro very, very recent, or it's going to be very, very soon. But they're kind of similar. These are kind of
Hmm.
similar.
Yeah, I mean, Red's gonna play a lot of the same stuff no matter what the leader is.
Fair.
Some are gonna play more interesting tech. Like this is playing Gordon, which comes in and out of favor depending on like the meta. And I've seen a lot of people going, Gordon's not necessary anymore. And then you see Gordon's super necessary, but you have to also play Jet Pistol. And it's like
Right.
Jet Pistol fell off in set two. We didn't need it because you had other ways to clear it. Now you need it again. So it's very reactive in red. And since they have all these options, they can.
Yeah, and I think the biggest difference, this might be obvious, but the biggest difference has to be the leader here. When we cover Whitebeard, I think we can really, it's easy to see why Whitebeard is very good. You're getting card at end of turn, and he's a 6K leader. Zoro gives the grand to everybody, and that's amazing. Luffy offers a lot of utility and benefits off his resource control. You have obviously a lot of people that need Dawn to do special things. We're looking at Brook, Luffy, Robin, and even Whitebeard. But you're also able to spend your curve a little bit better. It's definitely a more control, more utility style, and if that's where Red is heading, because of these ban lists, this Luffy leader might find even more space in a already very red meta. Yeah, it's a weird thought, but it's true. And another card that we're gonna talk about either for you in the future or us in the past is Brook. Brook is again making another appearance in one of these red lists, and I think it's a great response into clearing some of these very large, very big creatures and cards that have been very popular these last few tournaments. So really, really cool adaptation and or reactions from the red players.
Yeah, and these combos have always been there, and you just haven't
Yep.
needed them. So when you see them, I get excited seeing Brook because I honestly don't know if I've seen a Brook in a competitive deck. Like
It's been
I
a while.
probably have, and it's been a while. But like Brook into a Fire Fist, like attacking with Brook, minusing 2K, and then Fire Fisting two characters that were out of range, is rude as hell. And that's not saying that Fire Fist isn't rude on its own. That
Yep.
card's
Yeah. Yeah.
nasty.
Yeah. And we featured Buggy and Aizo in that last list. This one is Aizo Nami. Very, very similar reaches. Nami's going to be able to pull a lot of these event cards anyway. And again, it feels like the anchor of this deck is this Marco. Marco is the key attacker here. We obviously need this Rush Zoros. We don't have the utility from Zoro to boost all of our weenies. So we do have to create a couple extra attackers. That's why I think the Zoro's at a 2 count. But again, I think this Marco is in a featured role to do a lot of damage. And not a lot of colors can really deal with it, maybe except Blue, who can send him away. But everyone else has to kind of go through this guy. And with all these event cards, it's not the easiest.
Yeah, and not only do you have a ton of event cards, but you have a ton of 2K counter.
Yeah.
And I believe all of the 2K counter is searchable either by one of our two searchers here. So you're most likely going to end up finding them at some point and holding onto them for the end game. And at the end game, you could tap out and have a couple 2Ks and feel okay, or like you don't have a problem playing Whitebeard, which I think in our theory right now is you see a Whitebeard, you play a Whitebeard, and like you don't have to worry about playing that 9 cost and your opponent trying to go super wide and going over like everything, because you have plenty of 2Ks to find your way out of that like one turn with a low amount of like defensive dawn.
Right. And to be honest, I think play Whitebeard, see Whitebeard, play Whitebeard was in effect when it was at 4. Yeah, I think the big highlights here for Red have to be Fire Fist. I think Fire Fist is definitely the card they're looking at to create these opportunities that weren't needed because they just had that much power over everybody. But now they're just flexing all of this wonderful clear that they just haven't needed. Like you said, they just haven't needed it, so they didn't play it. And then the utility that benefits from it is Brook and this Nico Robin, and it's a different pain for Red, but it's might be even harder to deal with. I found it easier to deal with the raw power than all this utility in a way. So maybe we birthed a bigger monster with the ban list.
Yeah, it made people go, what if? And that's just bad for everyone that's not playing Red. I mean, even if you're playing Red, mirror matches must not be fun. Like, it's going to be much harder to play around if you're playing into a similar deck, because you're like, okay, I know what they can do. How can I get my timing perfect so that it screws up their like, it's just crazy. Good for Red. Good for this player. Congrats on their great placing in a huge tournament.
Absolutely.
Can say that about every pilot that we talk about in this on Meta Monday. These are great players that are doing well across multiple tournaments. So pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, and even though we're covering a lot of Red, I like the diversity and the changes of the Red. I think it's really cool to analyze these changes in response to the ban list that's going to continue to do this every set. So reaction from the players and being this prepared is really flexing in these cards. So really cool. I love seeing it, and yeah. That does it for Meta Monday. We did it.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a video.
We did it. And if you're still here, please consider doing the YouTube thing. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know in the description, guys. What other leaders, what other decks do we think are going to pop out? What are some of our early thoughts on set 5 leaders? I love chatting about that stuff. Are we head over heel over Revolutionary Army? Or is it all fake? Let us know. Let us know. But thank you, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Bye-bye. I really want to do the news outro. I really don't know how to do it, but I kind of just want, like, the credits rolling over us and to, like, shuffle paper down. Kind of like Anchorman.
Yeah, exactly.